Hello, my dear students and the rest of the learners. Welcome to part 26 of a 95-part series of tutorials in object-oriented programming in C++, in which we are going to continue with the topic on implementation of objects and classes, with our focus being on what we call the inline functions. My name is MemJM, or you can simply call me ML Swap. What are inline functions? Inline functions are the functions that are defined within the class itself or are prototyped, but not defined within the class and are prefixed outside the class by the inline keyword. As in non-member functions, the definition of the inline function must appear before it is called. Therefore, the function should be defined in the same header file in which its class is defined. The following is therefore a program implementing an inline function called the total. It prompts the user for the score for subject 1 and for subject 2 and displays the results. We have our inline function, or the name of our program, as inline function. We have our usual preprocessor directive, then using namespace standard. We proceed to class. Now, this class, we are defining, or we are declaring and defining, or we are defining a class called total. Now, this class has a private member, private data members who are 3. These are sum, subject 2, and subject 1, which are expected to hold data or values of type integer. Then we have public members. Now, these public members have been prototyped. They are the methods. So the first method is called getScores. This method is not receiving any parameter and is not expected to return any value. So that's the first prototype. The second prototype is for a method called computeTotal, which is also not receiving any parameter and is not expected to return any value. The third method is called displayResults. The same, it does not receive any parameter, neither is it expected to return any value. That's the end of that class's definition. So the next now is to define the methods. The first method that we are defining is called getScores. This method called getScores is under the scope of the class called total. And therefore, this method is an inline method or an inline function. Now, this function is going to display the message, enter the score for the first unit, and then the user is going to key in value to be stored in the first member called subject 1. So that will be read. And because getScores is a method, is a member of the class called total, then the value entered will be directly stored in the data member called subject 1. The next statement to be displayed is enter the score for the scored unit. The user will key in a value which will be stored in the member called subject 2. And then the next function to be invoked, and note, this function is being invoked inside another function. So you can see that a function can invoke another function, or a member can have another member who is a method within it. Let me put it properly. You can invoke a function, inside another inline function, like we are invoking the function or the method called computeTotal under the inline function called getScores. So this statement is calling member function through another member function. That is the end of the definition for the getScores function. From there, we move to the main function. Under the main function, we are declaring an instance for our class, and the instance is called scores. This scores, or this instance, is of type total. Then we invoke our first function. We are invoking the function called getScores through the object called scores. So once this statement is executed, the compiler will go to the class which is accessible through the object that we have already seen. And then it will come to this section here for getScores and perform the task here. Once that is done, once this statement is invoked, the compiler will move on to the compute total function. Now, where is the compute total function? The compute total function will be found after the main. So once the compiler comes here, it will execute this function called compute total. Now, this function called compute total has been prototyped under the class total, and therefore its scope is total. So the compiler will pick the content of the data member subject 1 and to the data member on subject 2. The results of the total or the sum or the results will be assigned in the other member called sum. And that will be the work of that function. Now, once that is done and this brace here is encountered, the compiler will then go back to the main function or the get total or getScores function. And once it encounters this brace, it will go to the main function. And then it will invoke the next statement, which is and display results. So this function is being invoked. This function called display results is a member of the class called total, and therefore this function is being invoked through the object called scores. So once that statement is encountered, the compiler will go to the class which is being manipulated or whose members are being manipulated using the object we have already encountered, and then it will move to this function here. This function here. This function is called display results. Display results. So where is it? It is after the main function. So the compiler will look for it. Here it is. Because the compiler has already been told that this function is in place, or it has been prototyped under the class. And therefore, the compiler will come here. This is the function. The function is called display results. Its scope is the class called total. Therefore, it will display or perform the following task. It will write the message on the screen, or the compiler will write the message, the total of, pick the value of the method or the member called subject 1 and display it on the screen, then followed by the sequence of characters, and then it will pick the content of the second member called subject 2, write it out on the screen, then followed by the sequence of characters S, and then pick the content of the member called the sum, write it out on the screen, and then drop down one line. And that will be all. Once this brace is encountered, the compiler will go to the main program, find out there's no any other statement to invoke. So it will invoke, or it will invoke this statement here, which is telling it to return the control back to the operating system, and our program will end. So my dear students and the rest of the learners, having seen how this program works, you are free, or you can copy this program in your exercise books, copy this program in your exercise book or in your one processor. Then once you have ensured that the syntax is okay and everything is in order, You then move on, load your C++ program, and then code this program there, or just copy this program from your editor or from your 1D processor and paste it in your program. Then continue, compile it, and execute it to see what you expect to get. So that's what we want to do. Let's execute this program. So the following is a demonstration on how this program is compiled and executed in C++ and the kind of output that it will generate. Now, we are supposed to save our program by the name inline function. So I'm going to load my C++ program, and then I begin a new project. The name of my project is inline. I won't write it properly. Inline function. Then I'll continue. Remember, you can follow your own procedure if you are not using Visual C++ 2010. What is important is for you to have an environment for coding your source code or your program. So the name of my program is inline function. So once you are here, you can type each of these statements one at a time on your editor. But if you have copied this program in your 1D processor, you can just copy it and paste it here. So for the sake of my demonstration, I'm just going to copy this program as it is, and I'll paste it on my editor. So here is my program. This is my program. I've already coded it. I've already written it here. So let me copy this program. I will copy my program. Remember, if you are writing it from scratch, you can still type it on your editor for C++. However, that is not advisable. Always write your program on a piece of paper or on a 1D processor program or application. After you have ensured that your program is okay and the syntax is okay, that's when now you should transfer it into the C++ programming language editor. And then you just paste it. So here is my program. Next thing, once you are done with the coding, you save it. Then you compile your program so that in case there are any errors, you can be able to see them. Now you can see that my program is successful. The compilation is successful, meaning this program or this source code has been translated to object code. It has been converted to object code. So we can proceed and execute our program or run our program. So this is the output. And as you can see, already the compiler has invoked the first function, which is the inline function by the name getScores. So the statement is displayed. Enter the score for the first unit. I can type 69 and press enter. Once I press enter, the next statement is invoked. Enter the score for the second unit. Let me enter 47. Then once I press enter, you can see that already we have been given the output. We have been given the results. Now, which function has done that? You can see that after entering score 2 from the inline function called getScores, the inline function called getScores is invoking another a method or another function called compute total. So the compiler has gone to where compute total is. This is where compute total function is. And once that has been invoked, you can see this is the function which is writing out the results as we can see. This is the statement, or this is the function which is writing out the statement. The total of it picks the value entered as score for subject 1, 69. And it picks the value entered and stored in second member called subject 2, which is 47. So it is displaying the total of 69 and 47 is. Then it is picking the sum. Remember, sum was computed and a computed total function. So that value is picked. So 69 plus 47 gave 116. So the output of 69 and 47 is 116. Press any key to continue. So my dear students and the rest of the learners, that's how the inline function works, and that's how our program is going to behave. Always remember, you save your work. And with that, my dear students and the rest of the learners, as you have seen, we have come to the end of part 26 of the series. You can continue to part 27 of 95 in this series, in which we are going to learn about what we call the friend classes, still under the implementation of objects and the classes. Congratulations for learning part 26 of 95 on inline functions and the implementation of objects and classes in object-oriented programming. You can access videos for the other parts in object-oriented programming series, as well as other computer or ICT videos by clicking or tapping on MLSwap ICT YouTube channel below this video. Remember to subscribe to the channel by tapping on subscribe button below this video in YouTube if it's not currently reading as subscribed. Remember, it's also good for you to join this channel as a special member to receive special offers by clicking on join button displayed just directly or immediately below this video or just after the name of the channel. For any further correspondence, kindly write it to us through the email emilyswap@gmail.com. Thank you very much for listening to me. Let's meet in part 27 of this series, and God bless.